there are two different types of ballet flats from a generic standpoint. You're either going to have a canvas or you're going to have leather. Now, I have my teaching flats, so you can kind of see a little bit of a difference, but the concept is still the same. So when you're dealing with leather, you have to remember that you're dealing with a leather product, and therefore you do have to be a little bit cautious in how you maintain it. More often than not, you're able to polish them. Leather is also just a bit easier in general to clean. If obviously we want to make sure that we're not cracking the leather and getting it super soaked, because in either case you can loosen the glues and the many adhesives that are involved in your shoes. So you do have to be leery with that. But you're able to sometimes just take a light little damp rag and clean up. I'll even use a little dab of dish soap sometimes for leather shoes, just to clean out if there's any funny scuff marks on there. But again, you have to make sure that you dry that immediately, because you don't want the leather to fall apart on you. The soles for leather shoes can sometimes get flattened out. And I'm going to talk about this later on in the week for some of our other shoes, but if available, you can also use a shoe scruffer, in which case you can just lightly scuff the shoe, and that just pulls out the material a little bit, and you can bring that shoe back to life. That allows for better grip on the floor. So that's a little bit important, because we don't want to be sliding around. The same goes for your canvas shoes. The bottoms can sometimes get a little overly flattened out, and sometimes just a little mucked up if there's like dance floor tape on there or whatever. Again, you can take a shoe rougher, but you've got to be careful, even more so now, that you don't grab the canvas with the shoe rougher. But you can still take it and just loosen up. And it doesn't take much usually, but it brings it back to life, and it gives you a bit more grip on the ground then. I'm going to talk a bit more extensively now about the canvas shoes. This is an older pair, so it's got some discoloration to it. You're able to sometimes gently blot with baking soda. So if you make a mixture of baking soda and water, again, sometimes if you need to, you can add a little dab of dish soap in there. But you can gently blot and get rid of some of the dark discoloration on their shoes. Again, you have to be super careful. I've known some dancers who have been able to get away with putting these in the wash, but that is really not a promise that they will survive. Each shoe has different amounts or different types of adhesives involved with them, and so you want to make sure that you are not destroying your shoes. The baking soda can usually just kind of lift it out. So again, you want to make sure that you dry the shoe thoroughly when you do that. I will usually take like a big rag towel that I have and wrap my shoe in it if it reaches that point. Sometimes if you do that, your shoe may become a little bit white, funny looking, like it's not the same color per se. You can do what's called a pancaking technique. And this also applies for those that need to kind of change their shoe coloring so it matches skin tone. You can pancake your shoe with a liquid foundation. You just take it on a sponge or a cotton ball, and obviously you probably don't want to be using the same stuff you use on your face. I would have a separate bottle for it. You just take that and gently blot that onto the shoe. I prefer to water mine down a little bit so it bleeds nicely into the material. And then you can either color match, so it, like I said, matches skin tone, or you can find a matching color for your shoe, and you just want to make sure that everything blends evenly so you don't get like weird blotchy patches. Another thing to point out, canvas shoes are prone to frizz. And in in some of our classes, I actually teach dancers how to sew, especially when dancers are going into pre-point. I make sure that they know how to sew their own shoes. Parents should not have to be worrying about that for their dancers, especially if something happens backstage. More often than not, though, especially for younger dancers, parents are probably going to have to help. And if you can catch it early enough, you can sometimes fix the little freeze in the shoes. And I suggest this because, especially for our youth, when they're changing shoe sizes so fast, sometimes you know that a growth spurt is clearly coming. And if you can get those shoes just to ride out a little bit, that may help you, because I understand some parents are constantly buying shoes for their kids. So you have to look at the freight. Each one is different. If you have a color matching thread to whatever shoe you are using, you can basically darn it like you would a sock. Some of them, if they're in the grooves, like in this case, you can feed the needle up into the hole and just do a little whip stitch on it. I'm not going into each of those today, trying to keep it a little bit shorter, but you do have options if you need to do a quick stitch fix on there. Using different fray stoppers also can help. You're dealing with canvas though, so the fray stop items available may not always be helpful. Sewing also comes in handy for the elastics. Now, I actually encourage that my dancers knot their elastics. Usually they come pre-sewn, at least at the back part of the shoe. If you do have to attach your own, we'll talk a little bit more about the proper placement of that for our point shoe video. You can crisscross the elastics, so that way it pulls under the foot, and then you just knot it at the arch. Now, the reason I ask for this is so that way that little knot basically is like a reminder to engage that arch. You'll feel it, it's subtle, it doesn't hurt, at least it shouldn't, but that is a little reminder to keep that arch engagement happening. The other option is where it crosses over here. That is where you can also just sew the elastics and you cut off the excess. I will talk further tomorrow about the proper stitching because point shoes are very similar, so tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about where stitches go on those types of shoes. I will see you tomorrow as we talk about those point shoes. I will see you then.